This thing changed the way that I learn Japanese. Here, how I changed my way that I learn Japanese. True. A tablet. And how you can do that too. Let's start it. Learn Japanese with a tablet is a path with no return, so let me show why and how. The first reason that I think that tablet is fundamental you to learn Japanese, I'm not selling your tablet, let's put a disclaimer here, it's convenience. Wherever I go, even if I go to work, to school, what the fuck I am here, I carry my tablet with me. That allows me, for example, here in Japan, I live in Tokyo, while I do my work, I can review the kanji that I have been studying in class, I can write it down, like I can force my memory to memorize it. So it's so convenient to write on a tablet rather than a pen and a book. So that's for me, it's another universe of convenience. So said that, with that, here for example, in my Samsung tablet SCs, I have Samsung Notes. Even though that don't appear that for Apple that have Notes too, you can use that or iPad, whatever fucking tablets you're using. There are other tabs that allow you to access much more simple things. Like I use my Samsung tablets and Notes to write it down, so I can see through my phone and wherever I go and have it. That make too much easier, too much practical. That make me love study with kanji and change the way that I feel study kanji, because writing down in a pen, a pencil, sit down and write slowly and pick, writing down slowly in a table like with the pencil, it's not what I'm looking for. That's too much boring for me. So much exciting. You wake up, take your tablet and writing it down as long as you wake up. That make more easy for that, you know. And since I use my tablet, I can seek that with my computer and see that my Samsung Notes through my computer, and that make me more easy to add the apps. Like I use Ink for review everything that I have learned. So in that way, that make much more easier for me review everything that I have been studying. So said that, I don't think why I would come back to use pencil again and a notebook, like for example the old times. For me it doesn't make sense, it isn't too much boring. So that's why I changed my whole structure for tablet, and that have been improved as my Japanese have been improved, and I can learn so much more kanji and I know by the head. But that's another story. Continue about the tab. That allows me, while I'm studying Japanese, I can access along any diverse dictionaries and take like size like immersion kit that you can put a kanji there and see a lot of examples that in a phrase. For those who learning kanji will notice that sometimes that have a little bit similar meaning with different kanjis, so that make a little bit harder for you to understand that kanji. But with immersion kit and dictionaries and look at that through each kanji, you start to recognize them more and more easily, the real meaning of that kanji that you have been studying. So that make me much more practical with my tablet. Of course, I will show you for you guys a little example of how I study. And finally, honest, my truly opinion about that. I wasn't that person that will sit, like I said before, take a pen and a paper and write it down each kanji. I always have struggled with that while I sleep in my bed. So it's kind of hard for you to get up your bed, sit on the desk, pick a paper, pick a pencil, take your reference book, and then you start to write down the kanji, because it's not practical, you know. Since I have this tablet, I started to, wake up beside my bed, pick my tablet and start studying right away. So I don't lose time, make an effort, struggling to get up, take a coffee, sit on the table. I know that's a different vibe that people love, honestly, for me, I hate write down on the paper. I don't know why. It's just my, I know, my kink maybe, but I don't like to study on paper. I love digital stuff. And I make an example here how you can personalize everything on your tablets. So even though for the small person that I don't like that, you have to option to buy a paper not sensitive for your tablet, so you can put like tablets like was a paper. It's kind of stuff I don't like it because I like the digital one, but for those who love the sensitivity of the paper, that helped a lot. And what helped me change for tablets, because before I used just a smartphone and evaluate through rank, but since I start to write down the kanji, I start to memorize better, so that makes everything more easily for me study Japanese. And the latest part is more important one. Of course, for those who like customize, you can change your sensory notes for whatever you think you want to, but that's not the case. You'll be able to do whatever fucking you want to, personalize and whatever you want to on notes that have squares. You can put it down here. So I don't say excuses for that. That makes me more practical, useful for those who really want to focus into Japanese language and know that you have to learn at least 2000 kanji to start to read almost most of things here in Japan. That's a huge investment that I think you really should buy it because it's worth your money, because save a lot of your time and your personal efforts to learn some difficult language like Japanese, which for me it's a little bit complicated. But for me is that. Let me show you how I do that in the practice. So I want to show you guys how this work here on my tablet. I wrote my sensory notes, and here is all my panel of study of kanji. Here is my kanji gyokasho, or my book of reference for study. So I usually just take a note here, use the pen, and I take a screenshot, and then I will be able to reveal the kanji. I have a meaning, and I have an example of use this kanji with this reference book. But here, of course, I'm used just as an example. Usually what I do, I put here a number amount of studies that I here study in Japan, and then reveal it through my hand. And while I understand the kanji and I don't need it anymore, I put in my Yankee just for reveal it, where I have to writing down here by hand, like this. So there's kanke no kanji. For example, I just will write it down, and it make me more easily for study. Of course, my form of writing isn't exactly type of more pretty one, but it is enough to me record it. So let's take an example of my Yankee. I review my Yankee after how I study. So after I study, I use this app called Anki. So you click here in study, and this way that I study kanji, here appear what I have to write. So then I try to write what it is, if I not necessarily understand this type. So then I check and see if I did right. Here I did it wrong, so I have to do this way, and that I review that every day. Today I have many, just this one that I put it just for example for this video, but I have a review 50 cards today. So that's how I study. So I came back here, I show you how I study, how I practice, and tell me whatever you think in your comments, and see you another advice that I have to people who are struggling with Japanese kanji, and you maybe help a lot of people here and to get and improve in your language, because learn Japanese is not easy. You bet be ready for this journey. So I see you in this journey, or here in Tokyo.